No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
The Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
I'm Jim Hutchinson with the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman magazine. It's Thursday, January 16th, and for you calendar watchers at home who are like me, counting the landmarks and street signs along the highway on the way home, that means 24 days until the Super Bowl, 28 days until pitchers and catchers report, and 44 days and counting to the opening of the Outback Striper Fishery in the Garden State on March 1st. Keep in mind, no change in 2025 on striped bass, maybe in 2026. Suffice to say, there's not a whole heck of a lot to talk about fish-wise here in the New Jersey, Delaware Bay region. But there's a tug on the line that's out there for you somewhere. Ocean, bay, lakes, rivers, even the frozen lakes, for those willing and able to manage the cold. Now, I've got a lot of hot stove management discussion to talk about this week. Learned a little bit more by attending the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council meeting last Thursday that I told you about. I will share details on what came out of that meeting and what's ahead of us in terms of the rest of the 2025 regulations, and especially as we ramp up into 2026 and beyond. Plus, we've got some breaking news this week, good news coming out of NOAA Fisheries on those proposed speed restrictions. So we'll do all of that sometime after George and our Pocono Outdoors report, probably about 15 minutes from now. So first, let's go to the fishable options for you as we head into the third weekend of January 2025. In our National Weather Service Marine Outlook, sea conditions look manageable, but captains looking to get offshore for blackfish, ling, cod, pollock, or jumbo porgies, all available right now. They will be monitoring the wind and perhaps any precipitation in the forecast in this weekend ahead. Now, temperature-wise, running my weather app here at home in Brick Township, lows from 25 to 30 degrees Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, really not too bad when you consider what's expected for the week ahead. And at last check, they're calling for a bit of a wintry mix on Sunday as well, which I'll be paying close attention to on Sunday morning before I leave to go to the link for the game. Go Birds. So unfortunately, this return to winters past has resulted in a lot of icing in the marine waters, back bays and rivers especially. I spoke to Captain Chad aboard Tagged Fish Charters out of the Highlands this week, who confirmed to me what he posted last week on Facebook, and that's that he's pulling the plug on the rest of January tog trips because of the ice flows dumping out of the Navesink and Shrewsbury rivers on down past Barrs Landing and into Raritan Bay. I'd recently mentioned that the Starfish out of Sea Isle City as a head boat option sailing for blackfish. Well, Captain Bob Rush said they found a lot of short fish and a handful of keepers fishing in 120 feet of water about 20 miles out on Sunday. Brandon here won the pool. But then Bobby told me that this weekend and into Monday's Martin Luther King Jr. birthday holiday, that will probably be it before he pulls the plug on January fishing. Nearby in Cape May out of Uch's Marina, you also have Fishin' Fever still running offshore for tog. I know the trips are very hard to get aboard Daffin's boat, but he was out on Monday when I checked in with him while we were doing the fishing reports. He had a couple of 8-pounders at the time, a couple of 9s, a 10, and an 11. That was all midday Monday. Not too bad. In between Cape May and Sandy Hook, the next best options for hire trips in the coming days are out of Manasquan and Shark River. As for the latter, I spoke with the crew from Fisherman's Den in Belmar on Monday for our weekly reports that we post every Monday afternoon, available Tuesday morning at thefisherman.com. Tim there at the Den said, quote, "We'll have at least one boat sailing for blackfish through February, and we do have white crabs as well for sale." Congratulations, by the way, to Glenn Zeke. He won $1,400 in the seasonal tog pool aboard the Belmar-based Captain Cow. Nice fish. We reported on that this week. I know The big Mohawk is still running. Last I checked with Greg Hewitt on Wednesday, and the Last Lady and Skylark are still booking charters as well. Options are there, always options. Out of Brielle, along the Manasquan, the Paramount continues to target blackfish, ling, and cod from Thursday through Sunday, while the big Jamaica, she's running a variety of mid-range and offshore rec trips to keep you in the action, and the fish box filled with tasty victuals like cod, ling, pollock, and jumbo porgies. The Paramount as well in that same port. Meanwhile, Captain Joe Bogan on the Jamaica 2 will be running Thursday through Sunday in search of blackfish. The report from Monday that we had from the Jamaica 2, handful here and there today. And as I've said frequently since the beginning of the new year, tautog remains one of the better bets for folks still looking to get out and about. And yeah, you've got for hire boats that are still sailing where they're not iced in, and you've got those head boat options as well. And again, find a few of the for hire boat options in the January edition of the Fisherman magazine. You turn to our reports section in the middle of the magazine. I will find it sooner or later. In the magazine there, you've got the regulations, but you've got a full yellow pages listing of all the head boats and charter boats that are running in the days and weeks ahead. Also in that section, the report section of the Fisherman magazine, you'll also find a bunch of tackle shops there. A lot of them are on limited winter hours at this point, of course, but some are just a phone call away if you need something. Always worth a shot to give them a shout. For example, if you're looking for bait, bloodworms, live killies, grass shrimp, you want to try your hand at white perch. I do know a few shops that are still keeping winter baits in stock. Akira, for example, True World Tackle in Bayonne. Dave Scholl down at Absecon Bay Sportsman Center. Justin at Allen's Dock in New Gretna said, just give me a call. Call the shop. I'm right around the corner. I might be able to help out. The folks at Hands 2 Bait and Tackle in Cape May, they said the same thing. While Dennis at Hook House Bait and Tackle in Toms River, he's always working hard to keep baits in stock, even though they're on limited hours as well. But the Toms is, of course, is an area where you're probably going to see a healthy dose of ice, certainly by this time next week, with the temperatures down into the single digits, or at least close to that. But Dennis let me know that Doug Johnson, he said this, quote, after 24 bloods, 20-degree weather, a week of trying, staying up late on school nights, Mikey got his first perch. Just priceless. Smiles. Says it all. Congrats, Mikey. Way to stick it out for our catch of the week here at the Fisherman magazine. So while outback stripers are closed, you can still target them out front. I've heard a few rumors of stripers off the beach, folks coming in from togging, stopping on marks inside the line, dropping diamond jigs, and lo and behold, those stripers are there. But I got to tell you that we always have resident stripers prowling along the outside beaches. They're tougher to catch, often smaller, but you still can catch a few residents along the open beaches as well when the weather conditions allow. But of course, it's never anything like that fall bedlam that we see each and every season here at the Jersey Shore. Now, on this week's Open Boat, Jenni is showcasing part 2 of her Surfcasters Challenge. This week in the winner's circle, you'll find a few anglers who caught stripers on poppers to share in this week's Open Boat feature. From pencils to Polaris, we're covering them all. Just keep in mind, you can still submit your fish for the final challenge using the lure of your choice. For more on that, let's go to Open Boat and Jenni Ackerman.
Guten Tag, howdy howdy. We're back with Open Boat, part 2 of the winner's circle. Let's go. Now, the second week challenge was to catch a fish on a popper. Could be a Polaris, could be a pencil, could be a hybrid, whatever floats your boat cap, you're throwing it and you're catching on it. So let's get right into it with the first picture of Photo Creds. I took the picture of my good friend Sean Smeda. He caught this nice striper on a pencil popper. That was a fun day of running up and down the beach in waders, trying to catch the fish in a quick peanut bunker blitz. So anyone, I'll challenge anyone to a marathon sprint on the beach in waders, and I think I would win because I built a lot of endurance this fall run season, just sprinting up and down the beach. That's what happens when you don't have a buggy pass, or your friend that you're carpooling with, I won't name any names, drives past you to chase after the blitz, and leaves you in the dust. So that's always a fun time, but you can really get your steps up, especially fishing on the beach. Moving along to Long Island, we have Bob Duggan with this nice fish caught on a popper. And he left a nice message saying that, I saw your video YouTube segment on pencil poppers, one of my favorite lures. You had some nice gear on your surf belt and made a very smooth cast. Literally, thank you, making me blush here. Attached is a photo of a keeper slot striper, one of two I recently caught on the local Long Island South Beach using a white 8-inch Gibbs pencil popper. And he said that he got some intel from his good friend and fellow fisherman, Mike the mailman, potential relation to Bob the garbage man, just working different jobs, I don't know. He said that he delivered a text saying that birds were working in the water, so I had to investigate, as you should. And it was such a pleasure to catch them on my G. Loomis surf rod and pen reel. That is a classic combo that is a staple for many fishermen for years and years and years and decades. And he knows that he's working the surface lure correctly when the seagulls are hovering. So if the seagulls are gonna want to attack your pencil, then the fish are gonna want to too. So it's doing the right job. That's the one big thing with walking the dog on the surface with a pencil popper. Going back to New Jersey, we have Mark Soley with this nice fish on a white pencil popper. Love to see it in the wash and everything. Still keeping it in New Jersey, we have Paul Finken with two nice stripers caught on, it looks like a hybrid pencil popper. I'm not gonna be guessing any of these names here of the brands and stuff, but these are really nice fish too. Really nice fish caught off the surf. Love that you can see the boats in the background and everything. Nice, perfect like flat day for using a top water lure. And then we have Andrew McCon of Pennsylvania caught this nice fish on another same style pencil popper right there. And moving on, we're still in New Jersey. We got a lot of Jersey submissions here. We have Rich Flanagan walking up the beach with a nice one on a pencil. And following that, we have Sebastian, whose social media is Fishing with the Polish Guy. A nice fish caught on a pencil right there. And then we have Adam Cruz of New Jersey, another fish. And also it's a really nice scenic picture too, so cahoots to you. And following that, we have from New England, They Live, You Sleep Fishing with a nice fish caught on an Outcast hybrid popper. I can recognize that. Outcast makes nice lures. I like their stuff. It's pretty work. Following, we have a boat entry. We have James Heaney of New Jersey with a striper caught on a pencil. I mean, you can't beat a top water bite off the surf, but on a boat too, it's just absolutely spectacular. Keep it in New Jersey. We have Chris Letcher, and he said that he landed this beautiful overslide in Ocean County on what I call the mutt. Inspired by the great Larry Dahlberg, I mold and recast some favorite lures and incorporate the features I like from several others. So he's making like a Frankenstein pencil lure here, but that's really cool to modify and take your favorite lures and make them into one Franken lure. And he says, you'll be amazed at what you can catch with resin, properly bent bicycle spokes, and some dollar store nail polish. So let's take another look at that lure right there. That's honestly like pretty work for a homemade lure, and extra points for you for catching it on a homemade pencil. That's not that easy to do, making lures. It's something I don't even know if I would even dare to get into, but if you know the talented New England editor, Dave Anderson, he makes lures all the time through Surf Asylum. So he's very skilled with that too. So it takes a lot of work. Moving on, we're still in New Jersey. We have Vance Slosher, age 9, caught two nice fish on a pencil. I'm not gonna say he skipped school though, but it's fine. I know a lot of kids this fall run season were taking some sick days to get out and fish the surf, and big cahoots to you, Vance. You definitely get bonus points. All smiles there. I love to see it. Still in New Jersey, we have Andrea Spinola with a nice sunrise fish on a pencil, and honestly a really cool custom you got there. I love looking at when people send me fish pictures and the rod's like laying in the sand next to it. I love zooming in and looking at your custom work because I build my own. Interesting color combo with the neon green and the grape purple. I really like that. And there's a mermaid decal on the top too, and the grips are really nice. So pretty work on the custom rod, whoever made that. If you made that for yourself, I mean, cahoots to you, good job. And then we have a submission from Cookie in New Jersey. You got a classic lineup of fishermen behind him too. Sticking it back to New Jersey, this was a really cool entry. So his name is Peter Beltzville. Sorry if I butcher your last name like anyone in this. And his wife Ruth. And they are from Mozambique, Africa. And he says that he follows the Fisherman Magazine New Jersey channel even when he's out of the USA. He says he's semi-retired and spends 5 months in the US and the rest in Africa. He says that he loves the Jenni and Jim show. So Jim, you're getting a little shout out here too. And he says that he fished New Jersey a lot when he was a kid, grew up in Cape May Point, and then he went to Africa in 1982 to work for the African Nature Conservation. So he just started fishing back in New Jersey, and here he is with a nice big fish on a pencil, and even his wife Ruth got into it. She caught a little shark, but that's, I mean, the stretch of the Fisherman Magazine going all the way to Mozambique. So that's really cool that we have subscribers that go the distance to catch a striped bass. And then we have, moving on, we have Jason Diamond with a nice bass caught on a pencil. And last but not least, we have Chris Letcher again, caught a nice bass on a pencil, but he gets bonus points because not only did he catch fish off the beach, he watched my episode of picking up garbage on the beach. Let's go, Chris. Thank you for picking up garbage and throwing it in the trash where it belongs. Everyone should be doing this. I mean, this is like the bigger aspect to it. I might do next year a similar thing where you send in pictures of you throwing away trash on the beach, just so I know you're doing it so you don't get coal in your stocking. But picking up trash on the beach for spending the amount of time you're on the beach fishing could equate to cleaning a whole beach. I mean, there should really be, I'm considering like trying to do like a surf caster's beach sweep. I know a lot of guys along the coast are doing it, but if you have, or if you're in a fishing club, do it. Like literally give it a shot. Clean the beaches, keep it clean, because that's crap could be washing up into the ocean, and stripers sifting the sand for sand eels could be getting that in their system, and we don't want that. The future stripers are at such a risk with everything going on from, I don't even want to, the can of worms. I don't even want to get into it, you know, but the future of the fishery for every single marine fishery species is so important. So, you know, keep it clean, clean the beaches, keep it clean. And that will end it for the part 2 with poppers for the winner's circle. So thank you guys for that, for entering everything for that. And we're gonna go through week 3 with your favorite lure. So if you didn't submit anything yet for the final part, you can literally like just take a picture of, I mean, like go through your camera roll and see what fish you have from the fall run season. And if you want to get in on it, just submit that, email me. There's no deadline on this until the video airs. So next week, you know, that's your limit. So probably give it till like today after this video airs, and then just email me. Just jackerman@thefisherman.com. You know the drill. So if you want to get featured, then shoot me an email. Thank you guys, and I'll see you all on next week's Open Boat.
The boats, bargains, and fun are back. The New Jersey Boat Sale and Expo. Hit the water for the best fishing season ever with savings on center consoles and fishing boats for inland and offshore. February 13th through 16th. New Jersey Convention and Expo Center, Edison. JerseyBoatExpo.com.
Life is better with a boat.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing. That nothing says no to fish bites.
Back to Jenni Ackerman for just a moment. She's hosting a neat little event this Saturday, January 18th at Grumpy's Tackle in Seaside from 5 to 6 p.m. Jenni is doing a seminar geared towards the lady anglers, new and experienced alike. Guys, you can bring your mom, your sister, your girlfriend, your wife, your Aunt Gertrude, whomever you wish, but it's a cool cabin fever event. for this Saturday in Seaside. Be sure to congratulate Commander Ray on his team's big win and their entry into the playoffs. Also this Saturday is the 14th annual Delaware Valley Surf Anglers Fishing Flea Market. That's from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the VE German Club. That's at 130 Davisville Road in Warminster, PA. Admission is $5. Kids under 16 are free, and it's always a great event. The Fisherman magazine will not be there this year, but you can see us again, I believe next week is the New York Boat Show at the Javits Center. We'll be there all week. This Sunday, the 19th, the Lacey Township High School Fishing Club will hold their 15th annual fishing flea market from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. That's at the high school that's located at 73 Haynes Street in Lenoka Harbor. I spoke to Joe at Fairfield Fishing Tackle this week, who said fly guys have found some very good trout fishing in local streams, while also noting that the Passaic River is still giving up a few pike. But Joe's big announcement, when I called him on the phone on Monday for a report, he said, quote, "Ice fishing be upon us," while reporting that folks have found good ice for fishing on Hepatkong, Aeroflex, and Muscanet Kong. Now, bait-wise, you could always stop into Fairfield Fishing Tackle. If you need an auger, they've got them, I believe. So does Bullet Hole Annex there in North Jersey. But if you're thinking bait-wise too, you can always check in with Lori and the crew at Dow's Boat Rental on Hepatkong. Also John and the crew at Old School Outdoors in Ewing. For more on the local ice conditions throughout the region, let's check in with George Schauer, our Pocono Outdoors Guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. You know, the ice anglers are certainly out and about. As you can see here in the Poconos, we are certainly starting to build some fishable ice. So good news for this coming weekend. You can guys get out. Starting to see that 4 or 5 inch ice thickness, so it should be safe to get out in most places. Obviously, northern parts have more, southern parts of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, a little bit less, but we're getting there if you want to get out in the ice. A couple guys checking in. We had John Dorn checking in from northern New Jersey. Well, he got himself into a couple really nice walleye there. And I'll tell you that he got 3 in one day. The largest was 26 inches, and he got them on live shiners through the ice. So great work there, John. Also in the Delaware, we had more walleye checking in. Our friend Tim Keebler at Fin Seeker Guide Service, well, he was out in the Delaware and managed to get himself a couple nice walleye as well. He got himself about 3 or 4. He had to dodge some ice downriver along the way. It was kind of a wild scene, kind of like Titanic, you know. But yeah, some ice coming down, but still some good fishing if you guys want to get out on the river. Some guys like hitting the brown trout. That's been real popular as well. We've got from Eric Goodstall. He checked in. You know, he's our trout guru, and he was out getting some trout on jerk baits. This is down about Northampton County. Those jerk baits are really productive this time of year, guys. You don't think of a fish when water's in the 30s really chasing baits like a jerk bait. I was fishing with Eric in February, probably 2 or 3 years ago, and we were out throwing those real small jerk baits and those spinners, the inline spinners, and those brown trout were just crushing them. So they're real active in this cold weather. Don't be afraid to get a little aggressive with these brown trout in these open creeks and streams. Also, we had Tom Gilmore check in. Well, he got a couple more of those brown trout as well here in Pennsylvania. Now over here in the Lehigh River, it's still open water there. We had river guide Steve Kolnick of Gravy Boat Guide Service. He managed to get himself into 3 or 4 really nice brown trout as well in the Lehigh. Take advantage of this weather while we got it. Some good fishing here. Ice or open water, guys. Be sure you get out and get on them. From Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors Guy.
Fisheries management is certainly not for the faint of heart. It can't always be summarized in simple bullet points, and like everything else in the world today, There are often two sides with two highly emotional extremes. That said, let's see if I can stay in the middle while breaking down a few of the latest deadlines and commitments without upsetting too many delicate sensibilities. First, the breaking news this week out of NOAA Fisheries, as the federal government has officially announced that they are withdrawing their proposed rule to amend the North Atlantic right whale vessel speed regulations along the Atlantic coast. That's in light of numerous and ongoing requests from the public for further opportunity to review and engage with the agency on this speed limit proposal. Now, there are already existing speed restrictions along the Atlantic coast for many larger vessels in terms of certain times and areas. But this particular rule, had it been implemented, would have mandated a 10-knot speed limit for boats 35 feet and larger from Massachusetts to Florida, expanding the speed zones to virtually the entire East Coast as far out as 100 nautical miles, while extending the go slow mandate for up to 7 months a year. Imagine if you were going out on a 36-foot contender, I'm not even sure if they have a 36, but a 36-foot center console, and you've got to pay attention to these speed restrictions, and you're going to the offshore grounds and you've got to run 10 knots or less the entire time. That was the problem. Now, according to the notice, it was published this week in the Federal Register, NOAA Fisheries received close to 90,000 public comments on the proposal, addressing many different aspects of the proposed rule. Now, the agency said they determined that they don't have sufficient time to finalize the regulation during the Biden administration, which is only another 5 days, right? Due to the scope and volume of public comments, and thus they're withdrawing the 2022 proposed rule and terminating this rulemaking proceeding. Now, my thanks to all the groups, organizations, and businesses who fought hard to destroy this onerous proposal. The National Marine Manufacturers Association, the American Sport Fishing Association, Viking Yachts, and many others. My thanks too to folks like Captain Fred Gamboa of Andrea's Toy Charters here in New Jersey, who testified before Congress last year, might have been the year before, about this rule and how this speed limit was going to impact our recreational fleet here in New Jersey and all along the Atlantic coast. Now, Freddie also went on to earn NMMA's 2024 Hammond Marine Industry Leadership Award for his efforts to defeat this rule. Thank you, Cap. 90,000 public comments, sometimes participating in the public process, does pay dividends. And now we have a little less than a month to do it again with a couple of other big issues related to angler access. Now, on Tuesday of this week, subscribers in the e-news alert saw an article that I had written, the headline being Support Sea Bass, Fluke, Porgy, and Bluefish Reform. Go to thefisherman.com to find that article. But in a nutshell, for the past few years, our black sea bass, porgy, and fluke fishery in particular has been managed somewhat differently than it has in years past. My neighbor called today, just as I was writing up the notes for this report. He said, hey, what's going on with fluke? What's going on with... I said, nothing's going on with fluke. It's status quo this year. Status quo on fluke, sea bass, and porgies. Nothing is happening basically because of this new management approach called the percent change approach, which is implemented through something new called the harvest control rule. A lot of complex information there, but basically rather than deal with new regs every season, based on the results from that random angler survey, the Marine Recreational Information Program, or MRIP, the new approach is basically to set it and forget it for at least 3 years. It's a method of fisheries management that provides a little bit more stability, and it smooths out the peaks and valleys of the recreational fishing management through MRIP. 1 year we're over, 1 year we're down, 1 year we're over. Well, this is kind of setting things down the middle, averages it out. Now, this new percentage change approach, it sunsets at the end of this year. So meetings are now underway along the Atlantic coast to review continuing this new percentage change approach into 2026. Now, the story that I wrote up lists the coast-wide meeting schedule. The first one was already held on Tuesday. New York has theirs coming up on January 22nd. New Jersey's will take place on January 28th. While the Delmarva presentation, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, and also North Carolina, that will take place on January 29th. Now, when you go to that story, and I'll put the link down in the description of this YouTube video as well, you can also go to the Keep America Fishing website, because it does look like option C looks to be the best approach for us as anglers, as it builds on the stability that we've seen through this percentage change approach thus far, but it's more responsive to stock status, and it provides additional status quo options for sea bass, fluke, porgies, and perhaps even bluefish at some point down the road. Again, find that article, Support Sea Bass, Fluke, Porgy, and Bluefish Reform. That's over at thefisherman.com. Finally, there's something else that came out of last week's New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council meeting in Galloway that I believe is of critical importance to surfcasters at the Jersey Shore. Kathy Clark with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection's Endangered Species Office gave a pitch to the council on a new proposal which would give the DEP more power to limit coastal access. I want you to keep in mind, the DEP has been, the DEP on this proposal, they've been talking to, this is what I found out the other day, we've been talking to stakeholders about this plan to override the public trust doctrine. Yet with just 35 days before the comment deadline, this was the very first time that the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council heard the official presentation based on their stakeholders being coastal fishermen. So this is the first time the council heard this in any official capacity. The DEP apparently has been crafting this restrictive new rule ever since Senators Bob Smith and Kip Bateman, New Jersey senators, passed legislation in New Jersey back in 2018 to set in stone that, quote, the public trust doctrine has some limitations. Seriously, it only took politicians 1,492 years since 533 AD to finally dismantle this ancient Roman public trust doctrine. As per the DEP's proposed rules, it's activities like these on the screen right now, rafting up in the summer at your favorite secluded gunk hole, or walking on the beach, that is of concern when it comes to piping plovers and beach amaranth. Activities our friends at the DEP believe are, quote, injurious uses, walking on the beach. So how, pray tell, will this impact recreational fishing? You can only imagine. Like you, I'm all for protecting endangered and threatened species, but I ask you to recall a clip that we did in the video a couple of weeks ago. I mentioned how fish and chips restaurants in the UK, in Britain, are under fire by environmentalists for serving up the, quote, endangered spiny dogfish. One man's endangered is another man's nuisance. On top of that, the DEP wants the ability to restrict access not just when any endangered species are present, but in any critical area. That's a new term, by the way, critical habitat area. It's a brand new term that the DEP just created. There's a critical habitat area component in the federal guidelines, but this one is brand new. But again, what the DEP would like to implement, where they'd like to implement access restrictions, not just where these critters are, but any place where an endangered species might be. I'd like to tell DEP where I'd like them to be, but that wouldn't be very respectful. Anyway, this public comment period for this new rule, giving the Department of Environmental Protection more authority to restrict public access, it ends on February 13th. I've spoken to friends at the Jersey Coast Anglers Association, New Jersey Beach Buggy Association, Hudson River Fishermen's Association, Berkeley Striper Club. They're working on a letter, thank you George Brown, an incredible letter, that's going to go to the DEP with some points brought up about angler concerns. But in the February edition of the Fisherman magazine, which will come out in 2 weeks, I have written extensively about this proposal. So you'll get that in plenty of time to meet the February 13th deadline. The New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council, by the way, they discussed this issue for about an hour, and they voted to send the entire recorded discussion to the DEP as their official comment. Well done. Welcome aboard, by the way, John Tiedemann, former Monmouth University professor, surfer, surfcaster, author at the Fisherman magazine. His very first meeting as a New Jersey Marine Fisheries counselor. He replaced James Alexis, who left the council 6 years ago. Nicely done, Governor Murphy. Way to stay on top of things. There is one more missing seat at the council. That was vacated by Sergio Ridosi 5 years ago. That's expected to be filled soon by Greg Hewitt of the head boat Big Mohawk out of Belmar. Actually, Greg is also our Mid-Atlantic Fishery Management Council representative. Now, in order to get a seat on the council, one first must get the governor to see the need to appoint someone, he says in triumphantly cheesy fashion, and then the appointee must be approved by the New Jersey Senate Judiciary Committee in Trenton. And at last check on Wednesday, I did not see anything scheduled by that committee related to the New Jersey Marine Fisheries Council. Now, if you would like to follow this fish sausage making political process at home, as I do, simply Google New Jersey Senate Judiciary Committee. And that's where you'll find the site. I check it just about every day to see if there's something scheduled where Greg Hewitt fills that missing council seat. January edition, I mentioned it. It's on newsstands, but it won't be very much longer. In 2 weeks, we've got the February edition coming out, and I'll be telling you all about that in a couple of weeks. That's a wrap. Go Birds. See you next week.